I'd like to show you very quickly how we can utilize Drive Image to create workflows that will greatly increase your daily productivity. Now, in our case, we are a copier provider, so as you see, I have a workflow here created for adding a lease. Now, what this will basically allow me to do is when a user wishes to add a lease into our database, we can actually prompt them to enter information that will allow us to retrieve this documentation quicker should we wish to. As an example, if I click the profile, you will see what I'm actually asking the user is to select an existing customer or create a new client and then enter a lease number. Now, the way this will actually work is that they will either select an existing or create a new client, which will then in turn create a folder, or in the case of select an existing customer, locate a folder for that client. So in effect, you're finding a location to save the document, and then when you enter the lease number, I have it set so that the file name is the lease number that is entered plus the date, so you'll have immediately the lease number and the date. Now, I also have an if statement created in here which helps everything work together so that when it runs, it is seamless. Now, if I were to run the demonstration, for example, I can just run a demo through the web page. You'll see we have a prompt on the panel here. This is exactly as the user sees the panel on the copier. They can add a lease. So if they click add a lease, they are asked to select an existing customer, create a new client, and enter a lease number. So in this case, I will create a new client and I will call it test client and hit OK. And then I will enter a lease number, and let's say I want to enter the lease number 12345. Now again, this uses the touch panel on the copier, so there really is no issues at all with typing things in. We hit OK, and now as you see, we have a test client and we have a lease number. So I will hit scan. I can choose my options. Let's say I'll do it in color, high quality, and I'll do it in duplex because I want to scan something, and then I just hit scan. Now this is a test, so it's creating a virtual document for me, so I can hit finish and then close the web page back down. Now everything's being saved into the folder you see here titled Drive Demo. So what I can do is double click this folder, and as you will see, I have a folder titled Lease. This is basically my storage location where the documents are being saved into. And within Lease, as you see, I have the test client that I just created, and then I have my lease number 12345 and today's date, and within that file I would have the scanned image. Now, to show you just how quickly these profiles can be set up, I'm going to create a profile that will actually let us retrieve the document. So let me hit add, and I will say I'm going to create it on the embedded device, and I'm going to say print a lease. It's going to be a printer type, and then hit OK. Now what I'm going to do here is add a new field, so I'm going to say print a lease and make input mandatory. Hit OK. So what that will then do, I can select my folder. So I'm going to select Drive Demo and Lease, which is the root folder where I'm saving into, and then very simply hit save. So what that will now do, if I go back to my virtual panel, as you see, I have an option to now print a lease. So not only can I scan things in, but I can also retrieve documents through the copier as well. So if I hit print a lease, you will see I have my test client. So I can very easily go in, select the document, and then hit OK. And now I have the selection, and if I hit print, it will ask me how many copies. Very simply, I'll say 1 and hit print. What that will now do, send the document to the copier to print. Very simple, very quick, and very productive if you need to file and retrieve documents quickly.